This medicine is not a joyride. This medicine, once it's ingested, it takes a few hours to start doing its magic. It goes into the bloodstream and it floods your brain. It knows exactly where to go. And once it's inside you and it's starting to do its magic, you hear a hum, literally an audible frequency. The stuff is connected to earth. I think it's connected to the spiritual realm. I think it's a gateway to healing that man can't control, and it's amazing. I think it's going to be known as this century's biggest addition into the world of healing. Mark my words on it, because it's endless.
Welcome to the Asset Mindset Podcast. I'm Daniel Fielding, your host, and today we have a very special guest, Scott Roessler, another SF guy and doing amazing work. Scott, why don't you introduce yourself and say hello to the audience?
Dan and Danny, thank you guys so much for bringing me on your show. And this is probably the biggest show I've been on since I started on my journey of sharing my departure from the old version of myself into the healing version of myself. So I started, I'll start out with my bio. Thanks for the introduction. My name is Scott Roessler, and I'm a retired Master Sergeant out of 7th Special Forces Group. I spent 20 years in the Army, and 10 of those years were in Ranger Regiment, and the following 10 were in SF, whether I was going through the course or retiring in October of 2018. I started out in the course in 2007, just for SA. After I got out, I went into executive protection for a few years, but like a lot of guys, the real challenge wasn't staying busy. I got plenty of job offers. It was just feeling empty. You know, I couldn't do enough fun stuff, couldn't do enough fun contracts, so to speak, to make me feel like I was accomplishing anything of any value. I was very hollowed out. So my exterior looked sharp, stayed fit, mentally involved, could carry on a conversation and do the job to the best of my ability. But I wasn't fulfilled with any sense of honor or integrity, or it just seemed like everything in that space was chaotic. Everyone was out for themselves. Dudes were hanging each other out to dry to get another job. It was just ruthless. So I pulled myself out of that, and started digging into different treatment modalities that were available at the time. SGBs, stellate ganglion shots to the neck, and exposure therapy with a psychiatrist, HBOT. Those were pretty much the top 3 that were available back then. None of this psychedelic healing was spoken about. As a matter of fact, guys were trying to experiment it, but nobody would share any stories. Nobody would help the other guy forge his trail into that world of healing because they were too scared about the retribution from the unit or their friends or their family or their security clearance and so on and so forth. So my journey really took off when a friend of mine, Mike Cassidy, came down to visit during spring break down here in Destin, Florida. And he mentioned that a nonprofit he was working with on the board was considering doing a study on 3 different treatment modalities that they've had a lot of success with, different operators coming back from these 3 saying, oh my gosh, it helped me out a lot. It changed my life. It got me back on track, so to speak. And those 3 modalities were HRT with the Warrior Health Foundation, magnetic E-resonance therapy with the Cardiff Brain Performance Center, and lastly, Ambio Life Sciences, where I took part in the Stanford Ibogaine observational TBI/PTSD study with 30 other vets, or 30 total vets, all in the same sphere of work. Plenty of tier 1 guys in there, and plenty of MARSOC, Ranger, and SF, and a couple of pilots were sprinkled about. So yes, it was a good, solid group of guys dealing with the same stuff: insomnia, attitude, PTSD, TBI, and a whole litany of skeletal issues, broken bones, blown off bones, massive guys went through massive hemorrhaging that were saved, thanks to some good field medics. There was some interesting characters in there. We were all battling pretty much the same stuff. So we were very quiet and seeking some introspection into this world that we were diving into. There wasn't a lot of communicating amongst all of us. For the most part, it was very quiet and kept, off the radar. There wasn't any fear of your story getting out there that you're trying to heal through psychedelics. It was very tightly kept. The study, on the other hand, was very robust, considering you had Dr. Nolan Williams, God rest his soul, his whole staff, his team of experts and professionals in their field of study with Stanford's medicine scientific backing. It was an amazing buildup with the coaching that they put into the world that I'd started getting into, and the follow-up, the reporting, the questionnaires. It lasted for 18 months. So it wasn't just go do some Ibogaine and call it a day. It was very robust and very complete and thorough. And they're still releasing more data as time progresses. The first batch of data came out January of 2024, which showed an 88% decrease in suicide ideation 1 month post Ibogaine. It showed an 87% decrease in depression 1 month post Ibogaine, and HRT and MERT. Don't forget about that. HRT was 4 months in my system prior to Ibogaine. MERT, I did six weeks consecutive with the Cardiff Brain Performance Center, and then I had 2 days to pack my stuff and get ready to go to Mexico. So everything went from one modality to the next with no gaps, no ability for you to run off to the bar and start a fifth of Jack Daniels. You stayed sober and you stayed competent and you did the study to a T. We all agreed that we had to stick to it, and we held each other accountable. As the study's results came out, that's about a year and a half. So I came in there in November of 22. Just shy of 2 years later, I was really in control of the new version of myself, or the uncovering of the younger version of myself. And I felt like a kid. I had been restored. Like, I can't wait to explain to you guys. So after the study, my life changed and completely took off a whole nother direction for the better. And I'll explain some of those key moments that people can relate to while we go over it. And I've been just sharing my story as best as I can. I've been improving it as the years have rolled by. I'm 3.5 years post Stanford Ibogaine study, and I definitely don't need to go back. If you follow Trevor Millar, the co-founder of Ambio Life Sciences, he does a really good job of putting out topics of discussion, 30-second, 40-second reels about the topics that people are curious about but don't know who to go ask or whatnot. Him being a subject matter expert in the field of healing through Ibogaine and Iboga, he mentions that you can go from, say, a -10 within yourself, physically, mentally, spiritually, do one dose of Ibogaine, one flood dose of Ibogaine, and that brings you up to a 0 or a +1. So you're making way better decisions. You're making a lot better. You're prepping the battlefield, so to speak, with a clear head and all the assets that you need to make it effective and efficient and a success. Versus before, you were running with whatever you could snatch up off the battlefield at the time that you're trying to make a decision, and you're going with your gut, which is typically a big hammer that you're smashing into the earth, right? As I began to heal, I realized my kids, my wife, my close knit friends, they don't know if this is real or not. They just know that I'm acting a lot different than I used to be. So I started writing some essays built into chapters, built into a book. I didn't have the money to go spend $10,000 with a good editor to make this book as impactful as I possibly dreamt it to be. So I reached out without asking, and a gentleman that I'll call Mr. Bugatti answered my question within about 30 seconds of the phone call. And he said, I don't want you to worry about anything. I don't want you to worry about paying me back. I don't want you to worry about how the money's going to show up. I just want you to get your book out there, because I had him reading a lot of my chapters. He had been with me since the start of the study, and I grew to lean on him for different types of feedback. I could trust him to not judge me or criticize anything regarding the way that we began to heal. And he was sharing other healing stories without sharing name or this or that, other gentlemen within our field of work that were having very similar results. So I felt like, okay, there's a tribe here. There's something building behind the scenes that I can be a part of. What can I do to help benefit it the most? And I love to write. I've always been a good writer. I love messing around with words. I like to be a wordsmith in a group of, I like to be in the team room talking shit with big words, because it's fun, guys learn and I laugh and they laugh. And anyway, so I started out with that type of focus, and then just to take the stigma out of it, I was trying to get people to relax when I say, yeah, I healed through psychedelics. They immediately they whip out their Led Zeppelin albums and play that. And, hey, you want to smoke some weed, buddy? I'm like, no, I'm sober. I just want to tell you how I got there with this most potent psychedelic on planet Earth. So anyway, that's kind of where it led me to just going all in with an Instagram account. I never had social media my entire life. I didn't have it in the unit. I didn't have it anywhere because it was always frowned upon. And it's not good for security clearance. Well, I don't need a security clearance anymore. I can carry a gun wherever I want, thanks to this great state of Florida in my concealed carry. I didn't have any worry about losing access to my God-given rights here as American and in America, my Second Amendment. A lot of guys were scared, didn't want to mess with it, didn't even want to talk about healing through psychedelics because of that one thing, being able to carry a gun and go do work. So that, I think, delayed the wave that we're seeing right now. And without further ado, I would love to hand off the reins back to you guys. I thank you for that long introduction, and thank you for letting me share how I got to where I'm at right now.
Oh, please share all you want. That's what we do here on the Asset Mindset. We're trying to get people to grow their minds, expand, have self-awareness. This is about not just motivation, it's about transformation.
Yeah.
So you're spot on, brother. Proud of you for coming out and sharing your story. Let's,
Thanks.
The Operator's Guide to the Universe, right? That's what you got coming out.
It's going to be a great book. You guys are going to love it.
So, but really, what you're saying is you're just speaking the truth and sharing the story. And I think you're lighting the way. You're helping. Obviously, you were one of the ones that beat the path down for this to be out there, and for guys like us or anybody, first responders, anybody going through traumatic stress and things that they've had to deal with in their life. There's science behind it now, and people need to understand that change, you have to make yourself vulnerable sometimes. You have to get out of the comfort zone to really grow and change. And I think that's what you've been doing. And now you're sharing it because you've seen the positive results. So what some of the biggest positive results you noticed right away?
I love this question. I get it asked quite a bit, especially from my old war buddies. Like, what are the results? Give me some static. I want to know what really has helped you, Scotty, other than preaching about Ibogaine on your Instagram channel. And I started off with, well, the most important one for me right now is I go to bed when my kids go to bed. I used to stay up till 2:00 in the morning. I'd wait till everyone went to sleep. I'd crack open my old number 7, and I'd suck some of that down while I watched some old war movies or some old first person, your head cam shots, some old memories playing volleyball in the desert, so to speak. And it didn't do anything but keep those triggers sharp and ready to reach back to those days as my overall defense mechanism as to why I was drinking or angry or completely disassociating myself from my family and friends I didn't have the answer other than this bottle helps, you know. As soon as I woke up, well, you don't sleep on Ibogaine, but as soon as I came out of the deeper places you were at during your journey with the medicine, I started to immediately like do a head to toe check in my mind. And like, I still feel everything. I'm still hearing the beeps from the EKG. My boy to my left still throwing up every now and then, poor guy. And my guy to my right sounds like he's in a good, peaceful spot. And then immediately I've like, oh my God, I got to pee. And I couldn't move my legs because you're immobilized once the stuff kicks off. And I remember Trevor and one of the others said, I think it was Jose or Juan. They're like, okay, bro. And they come up behind me and kind of underhooked each arm. And I got up to a knee, did my duty in a big, hospital jug. And then immediately they helped me lay back down on my mat, and I was back in it again. So I don't know why I'm going straight to this, but the medicine, you're awake through the whole thing. My entire journey from start to end was like 37 hours. The first, I don't know, 15 were up in the meditation room, 17-ish. And then I was escorted down to my room where I've continued to go in and out of this different space, dealing with old memories, handling some old stressors, freeing my mind from hurdles I thought I would never get past. And next thing I know, I have a Reiki standing there holding my hand. I didn't even know I was going in and out of my worlds. And I realized my arm was up in the air, and I looked over. I was like, ma'am, am I good? And she's like, quit being so hard on yourself. And I said, okay, what was this all about? And she leaves. And one of the nurses comes in a few minutes later, Miss Ruby. I'm like, Miss Ruby, who is that? She's a Reiki. She can read your energy. She's very, very good. She's like one of the best in the world of healing through plant-based medicine and stuff. And I was like, really? Okay. She told me to quit being so hard on myself. She goes, yeah, you need to quit doing that. So we don't see it, but we project it like no tomorrow. And now that I'm going through my forever healing process, I can spot it a mile away. And I just walk up to people, even if I don't even know them. If the timing is good and I think I can get away with it without pissing somebody off, I'll be like, hey man, are you hurting right now? I would never have done this before, but I'll walk up, hey man, how you doing? Are you struggling right now? And I always get an honest answer back. And it's typically yes. How did you know? And I can just see it. I was that guy too. And I got healed up through this. I went through a study, and I'm not advocating for everyone to go run around and do a Scheduled 1 controlled substance. That's not what I'm saying, just for the record. I was part of a study with Stanford University, and I'm just sharing my experience and how I got better. And the case in point is, I wrote a chapter at the end of my book about a guy named Drew. I met Lieutenant Colonel Drew on a hurricane relief mission I got called up to go do in outside of New Orleans during Hurricane Florence. So we would show up, handful of retired operators come in, and people from all over the planet come in there with living trailers, birthing trailers, toilets, showers, chow hall, the whole 9 yards. And you build this camp within 24 hours so that the linemen can show up and work out of it while they're building the power grid back up. So it's got to have it up and running within 24 hours. So we're moving and shaking. We're project managing, basically. And Drew was my guy to go link up with for this particular company. And as soon as I walked up to him, I was like, whoa, this dude is struggling bad. In my mind, I didn't say anything. I'm like, hey, man, I'm supposed to meet you. I'm Scott. Hey, Scott. And he goes back to writing. He was writing a letter, I could tell, on the tailgate of his truck. I said, you want to talk, man, before we get rocking? He goes, didn't slam it down hard, but he's like, drops his pencil down on the tailgate. Like, you want to talk? What do you want to talk about? Why you're so upset. What's bothering you, bro? I'm not a psychiatrist, but I've been through some crazy shit with this thing called Ibogaine, and I can see that you're struggling a little bit. Maybe I can help. And he lit up. You've done it. Oh my God, you're the second person. So just talking to him a little bit lifted his spirits. And he immediately started smiling, and we started busting our ass, running around in our gator, putting out fires and getting this camp built. We didn't stop talking about Ibogaine the whole week that we were there. There was one night, this may sound funny, the second night, we're both, you don't sleep for the first day and a half or so because you got to get everything done. And we're kind of droning. That might have been some part of the play, but regardless, he's like, so you still know everything, right? You didn't lose your memory or nothing. I'm like, dude, you don't forget anything. As a matter of fact, it makes all your memories that much better because you relate to the memory more so than you ever had before. You can totally dissect your memory, what you felt, why you felt that way, why it went down like that. It's not your fault if it was something, traumatic or whatever. You can see all your memories from about a third degree difference from what you're normally used to seeing, and you digest it completely different. It's hard to explain, but I'm telling you, every ounce of trauma that I went through over the course of 11 combat deployments, 5 in Ranger Battalion, 6 as a Green Beret, were all handled. I don't have any more survivor's guilt at all. I still remember all my brothers' names. I still remember the dates. And I used to think that was crazy, so to speak, but it's not. It's just, I love my brothers. I miss them, and I respect their departure by remembering how to pronounce their names properly and the day that they left. And if anything, after Ibogaine, after a year or so of the dust settling, because it's so dynamic, it's powerful, it's so crazy, I felt I was doing them more justice by not drinking over their loss, by not fighting over their loss, so to speak, and just being relaxed and embracing great memories that I have of my homeboys, my brothers in arms. And I don't cry about it anymore. I used to lose my mind. I couldn't focus on a 2 paragraphs, story about somebody that I used to be really good friends with that isn't here anymore. For some reason, my survivor's guilt was controlling me, and it was making my decisions for me. It was very, really difficult to move through my day to day before Ibogaine. After Ibogaine, I can sit and talk about it, the struggle that we go through. Some guys don't have the issues with survivor's guilt. They got issues with other things that come to the surface. But if you're in that world where you just cannot be happy because your brothers aren't here, they're not happy, so why should I be happy? That goes away. And when that goes away, you're more involved with your kids, you're more involved with your spouse, you're more involved with your neighbor, you're more involved with giving back and paying it forward for the next guy or gal. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that's a great, great explanation on so many levels. I like that you're sharing how there's the transformation and how you process and look at things differently. Because it seems to me, and I haven't done it, so I don't know, but what I'm hearing from you, it's almost like, those movies and they do the special effects and like they kind of pause. Like The Matrix, I think, was the first one that did that. And then they'd rotate around and you'd see a different view. It seems like you have your experience, you have your trauma, you do that Ibogaine, you're not just, when we're in our, I guess, normal thought process, we're just looking at it from one angle. It sounds like you're kind of like in that camera and moving around and looking at it from different angles. Is that a good analogy or?
Yeah, it's perfect.
So I think that right there, I mean, that's game changing to be able to step back, because we have a hard time doing that. We get very rigid at times, like, nope, this is what happened, and this is, or I got to be hard, or blah, 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 all the different stories. So you've said a lot of things, but I want to key in a little deeper on battling the same stuff. You said, hey, we're all battling the same stuff. We're all there. Let's hone in a little bit. Like, what is the stuff?
So mine was a sack full of triggers, and Ibogaine has a very unlimited way of helping the receiver of the medicine understand their particular trauma in their specific way. So it's different for everybody. But the outcomes are all the same for the most part. I only know one person that had a complete relapse and went back to self-medicating after the study simply because he was struggling to integrate better habits, better surrounding himself with better people. He was a single guy, broken family, kind of, didn't have a very good network of people to spend time with, and he relapsed back into drinking and self-medicating with other stuff shortly thereafter. I really hope he finds another opportunity to get back in there and do it again. If he's hearing this, give me a call and I'll raise money for you. One of the hardest parts about trauma that I discovered is that you're not going through it just one time. You keep running loops in your mind and you relive it and you relive it and you relive it. Your cortisol starts to come up. Same thoughts, same reactions, emotional hits, just different situations. Something small will happen in the present, but your system reacts like it's something much bigger. And you realize that you're not just dealing with what's in front of you, you're dealing with all that shit that came before it. And it overwhelms you. This is from my perspective. The different environment, same response, same edge, same need to have to control everything is what it felt like, the loop that I was going through. So fighting everything in the same battle on a returning loop that would just deteriorate my thought process, making horrible. I would go from stable to fuck this, I'm drinking. I can't take it anymore. I don't want to fucking hear nothing else. You kids go outside and play. Don't bring your friends over here. It's Dad's Day and I don't want my house loud with a bunch of kids running around. That's how I used to talk. And I'm so ashamed, but at least I can say that I'm ashamed and I've learned my lesson and I found some crazy bark on the end of some roots on this little plant called the Transformative iboga shrub found in this small little region in the Congo that no white man, just kidding, no outsider is going to be able to go traipsing through the Guyana, not Guyana, yeah, the Guyana, that's South America and Brazil. Yeah. The Gabon region of the Congo is where this plant naturally grows. The Bitwiti tribe, BWITI, discovered it centuries ago. They've been using it for the same purpose to heal their warriors after battle, like we are currently going through right now, thanks to the Stanford Ibogaine study, thanks to Marcus and Amber Capone, thanks to Ambio Life Sciences and Trevor Millar and Jonathan Dickinson. Those guys forged a trail. They lit a fire, smoke signals and all, that Amber Capone saw. God bless her. And Marcus decided to go give it a shot. And, the rest is history. It took time to build the momentum, but look what we got now. We got a great movie for people to watch. We've got other veterans out there talking like we are, confirming the movies, confirming the stories that you've heard Marcus and Amber share, confirming that Trevor is real. He's not a figment of someone's imagination. And we've seen other places pop up that have got great street cred, like Beyond, plenty of outstanding, what do you call it? Testimonies coming out of Beyond's treatment facility. I haven't seen it, but I've watched a lot of their videos. It looks very comforting and welcoming and all that. I think the key to dealing with the individual's trauma loops, so to speak, the first thing is you got to go upstairs or go into the bathroom, the furthest one away from all the friends and family so that no one hears you. Be honest with yourself. Look in the mirror and say, okay, I'm Scotty Roessler. I did everything that my country asked of me. I did it as best as I can, but I came back with a lot of fucking problems and I need some help getting back to my core self. That's kind of how I started it, on recommendations from other folks that had dabbled in this world of healing. You got to admit that you got some shit wrong with you and that you want to fix it. We're not doing this just for the moment. We're not doing Ibogaine just to go drop some Ibogaine and hit the rave. Number one, it's humanly impossible. This medicine is not a joyride. This medicine, once it's ingested, it takes a few hours to start doing its magic. It goes into the bloodstream and it floods your brain. It knows exactly where to go. And once it's inside you and it's starting to do its magic, you hear a hum, literally an audible frequency. This stuff is connected to earth. I think it's connected to the spiritual realm. I think it's a gateway to healing that man can't control. And it's amazing. I think it's going to be known as this century's biggest addition into the world of healing. Mark my words on it, because it's endless. There's been Governor Rick Perry went down there 2 years after I did. After the study's results came out, he went down there under the radar with no fanfare, just him and his wife. Same place that I went down to in Ambio in Tijuana. It's only a 45-minute drive from the San Diego border. And I didn't get pulled off the road by any gangbangers or nothing. It was completely chill the whole way there, the whole time there, and the whole way back, just to put out all those fires. And he had onset dementia. I'm not speaking for Governor Rick Perry. I'm just reciting what I heard him speak about on his own with Joe Rogan. For those that may not have heard it, he went down there with the onset of dementia already kicking in. He did his MRIs before he went down there, just like we did. He did his MRI directly after, within a month, which just like we did. And then he did his 6-month follow-up. On his very first MRI, he went before he showed up down in Mexico. It showed a 4% decrease in his white matter, which is common with onset dementia for a 74-year-old. Nothing to be surprised about, right? So we thought. He does his Ibogaine journey. He comes back to the States, goes to the best neurosurgeon, neurodoctor in Texas, according to his judgment, and does his second MRI, sees some stuff that he's not real sure about. So he's holding off on sharing results or whatever. His final MRI, he goes in to hear the results with his wife. And he goes, "Well, Governor, you have a brain. Don't forget, going down, he had 4% loss of white matter. Okay. Brain was starting to deteriorate and he was going into onset of dementia. Now we're looking at 6-7 months post Ibogaine treatment. The doctor looks at him straight in the face and says, Governor, you now have the brain of a 40-year-old man. He gained the 4% of white space that he lost, white matter that he lost. He returned back with 21 point something percent more white matter. He's completely healed up. Wow. And he says it. He's like, don't know how it works like this. I'm getting goosebumps every time I talk about it. He said, my wife and I have decided to dedicate the rest of our lives here on earth sharing this healing journey, because he doesn't have the answers for it either. All he knows is he's crystal clear upstairs. He's back to working out. He's back to eating healthy. He has zero issues with his depression or anything like that. He's just effectively back at the top of his game at the ripe age of, I don't know, he's probably 75 by now, but I use a lot of different case studies, myself included, as living proof. Like, what's the proof? Okay, I go to bed when my kids go to bed. I'm tired at 9:00 and they have to talk me into letting them stay up till 9:15. Back in the day, I was cracking open my 15th beer at 9:15. Oh yeah, stay up till 10. That's fine. Mm-hmm. While I chug another beer and howl at the moon, wishing I was still in some combat zone. What a joke, right? Now I do homework with my kids as soon as we get home from school. Then they go play. What a novel subject, or what a novel idea. When it used to just be fun. Oh, yeah. You guys go play. We'll do homework before bed. Then we wouldn't do homework before bed. And then I would yell at them for having shitty scores on their tests on Thursday. And they would look at me like, what do you mean? We're just having fun. We weren't expecting to get great scores because we're just having fun, Dad. Every day leading up to the test, Dad. Right? I wasn't holding myself accountable, let alone raising my kids the right way. I thought that I was just a fun dad. I thought fun was what I got now that I'm back home and there's no more war and I'm retired. Going to the beach and drinking and sitting around with the same guys doing the same thing every week, every day was what I thought retirement was. And I was like, well, at least I'm here on those nice beaches of Northwest Florida. You know how much I go to the beach now that I'm sober? Not that I don't love the beaches. I love the beaches. I go maybe 2 or 3 times a month. Before I went on my journey, I would be there every day. I would wake up and find something to do, like mow my yard or trim a tree, something that says, all right, good job, Scott. Now you can go enjoy your day and fuck off on the beach all the next 7 hours and just drink IPA after one IPA after the next IPA. Because I was sober, right? I quit drinking the old number 7 a couple years prior, and I thought, yes, I did it. Now I'm just going to drink beer. So instead of drinking Schlitz malt liquor, I would get the most potent IPA I could possibly find around here, and those would be my beers, which isn't good. 5 of those, you're shit-faced drunk too. But it's a different drunk, and just a sloppy, nothing I'm saying is making any sense kind of a drunk. And I was going down that path, and like I said earlier, Mike showed up, offered the study. I said, dude, I don't know anything about Ibogaine or 5-MeO. I don't know what the shit is. I've done everything out there, HBOT, SGB, talking to my shrink for 5 years about everything I went through, and I'm still here doing what I'm doing. Well, I think you should do it. I go, okay, well, I think you should go to the beach with me and drink. We're on vacation. And he laughs. He's like, okay. And I said, look, you have permission to talk to my wife whenever you want to call Jen to give her more updates about this thing. You can do it. And that's it. You can't talk to her about anything else. I was so paranoid. And he's my best buddy from Ranger Battalion, right? He's a sniper superstar. So fast forward to summer vacation. Now he's back down with his daughters, hanging out for a couple days. And they both are standing in the kitchen looking at me. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I gave you guys some free running guidance. Do I do it or not? We think, and he looks at Jen. Jen's like, yes, you should do it. There's some issues. There's been some deaths, but there's not a lot. I think in the whole span of anybody knowing about it, there's like 25 or 30 who have passed away under the guise of trying to heal with Ibogaine, but they weren't in a regulated, as regulated as it is now state. Plus there's a whole other litany of sub-components. Like, are you a hardcore heroin addict when you're going down there to get it knocked out? You got to do 10 days of detox. Are you a raging alcoholic? You drink a bottle a day, that kind of an alcoholic? You've got to go through a detox. And a lot of people don't want to do the detox because it sucks. It's painful and horrible. They give you methadone and other things, whatever your addictions are, to try to, not to try, but to get you through your detox first. You have to do that first. And Ambio Life Sciences has a very proven method of getting you through your detox, slow and concise, and then you go through the Ibogaine. And I'm telling you, I've heard them tell me the story after story. There's a couple documentaries out there. They have endless amounts of records of 80 to 90% first time go for a daily heroin addict. Okay, so if your issues are alcohol and being a loud jackass everywhere you go, there is definitely a place for you to heal. And you just got to prepare your mind and body for it the right way. Go down there and do it. And what it does is it goes into your brain and it floods all your neurotransmitters, literally, and it brings them back to a perfect state. So there's no more addiction. There's nothing over here pinging that I need oxycodone. There's nothing over here pinging because my stress just shot up. I need a beer. I need to get out of this environment and go sit at the bar. That's where I need to go. Those are where your addictions are at. It floods the brain and it floods your neurotransmitters and puts them back to a brand new place. When you wake up, listen to this. I had dipped Copenhagen since high school. Peer pressure. I had a baseball coach who dipped Copenhagen and we all wanted to be him. So we all started dipping Copenhagen. That's no bullshit. And it stayed with me my whole career. I'm 45-ish when I was down there. I just turned 50 this month. Thank you. I didn't think I'd make it. But where was I before I lose my mind?
The Copenhagen,
dude. When I woke up when I finally came back to my reality of where I'm at down in Ambio Life Sciences Beach House overlooking the Pacific Ocean, I had zero desire whatsoever. Even the thought about it made me want to throw up, putting a dip in. And it used to be wake up, put a dip in, have my dip, then spit it out, and then brush my teeth. Like, that's how pathetic my life was with regards to Copenhagen. I completely quit it, never touched it again.
Wow.
The beer took about 6 months because when I got home, my phone's blowing up. A whole week of Scott not going to the beach and drinking with the same group of shenanigans. So they were blowing me up. Where you at? Where you been? Blah, come out and sit with us and have a beer. Well, I really don't want, but I didn't want to go into the woo. I didn't want to go crazy and tell them I'm sober now, I'm saved, bye, and go sit at the doorsteps of the church until Sunday rolls around and the doors open, because I didn't want to freak everybody out. But I know I can go on for days. The key for me was just picking new friends, man. I had to eventually, it took about 6 months, but eventually I just quit answering my phone at 11 o'clock at night, quit going out to the bars to go say hi and tell them all the same shit. Hey, dude, I'm done. I don't want to drink anymore. I did this thing called Ibogaine, but by then they're all hammered and they're all saying the same stories over and over again, like we all used to do, and they're not listening. So I just block, delete, block, delete, block, delete, block, delete. I did it for a long time. Took a while because I used to think everybody was my friend, and sadly to say, they're not. They just want to be co-drunks, or they just want to be co-adrenaline seeking. They need some buddies to make, we're better in numbers. So you feel like, you might not have any pals when you get back as you're going through your integration of better habits and meeting better people, and less free time to go screw off when you're actually doing your job as a father and a husband, So once you realize you're still going to go through this moment, it doesn't last very long because Ibogaine is in you for a long time. It just keeps helping you make the right decision. You're like, sitting on the beach all day doing nothing but drinking beer, saying the same war story over and over. Or I can take you guys out back right now and show you an 80-foot, 4-foot high, 80-foot wide retaining wall I built by myself over the course of a few months, and then rented a huge T-66 Bobcat, not the little guys that we used to build fire bases with, his big brother. And I'm out here grading my backyard, making it look exquisite. And now the neighbor's like, man, you did all of this. We've heard it. We've seen it. Piles of dirt and gravel dropped off with dump trucks and stuff. Your mind is wide open after Ibogaine. You can literally go back to school and, let's just say I went to Highland, North Seattle Community College for whatever, basket weaving, and I got my degree. And then I go into the headhunting business and I'm finding jobs for telecom and IT professionals. And I think I've finally made it. I've got my degree in basket weaving, barely. And I'm on this headset cold calling everybody that wants a job in the telecom biz. Wow, I made it. Man, that's so awesome. Not talking smack about that line of work, just saying it wasn't my line of work. And I used it as an analogy because 6-7 buddies of mine eventually heard my story enough to call me back and go, okay, is this shit real? How do I do it? I want to do it. And they were all in the same boat. Divorce was on the horizon, drinking too much, can't stop, but managing it, but don't want to do it anymore, but still drinking, right? Still working, still drinking, still fighting with the wife, still not connecting with their children. Okay, well, here's what you got to do. And I picked up the phone, do a 3-way group text, introduced to some folks that need to be read in, and then boom, they're gone. And I get a call 6, 7, 8 months later from a good friend of mine from Ranger Battalion that was dealing with a lot of shit from battle. How you doing, bro? I'm not gonna say his name. I'm doing amazing, and I want you to know I love you to death, and I appreciate you giving me on the train to go do this. And I'm doing what you said, and I'm helping guys do the same. I love you, buddy, blah, 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 and moving on. And I wrote it in the book. You're not completely healed until you pave it forward for somebody else, because there are enough benevolent organizations out there now. You might have to wait 6 months, a year. Okay. Some of us need 6 months to prepare ourselves before we go down to do Ibogaine to begin with. So it's not a bad thing. So quit worrying about how long the wait is and just get on these sites like Mission Within, Heroic Hearts, SOCF if you're a special operator guy, Vets Inc. They're still doing it. They haven't slowed down. They're just backed up. More money will start to show up as the executive order starts to do its due diligence. And get on the list. While you're on the list, start working on your friends, start working on your spouse, start working on your children. Let them know ahead of time what you're preparing yourself for, because it's that dynamic. It is absolutely life-changing. And the hardest thing that I'm dealing with right now is resentment. Resentment from old buddies, best friends I used to have in high school. Some of my immediate family in the beginning of this, because you come back 5 days later, a completely different version of yourself. Okay. So it's not like you show up Friday, have a family powwow. Okay, everybody, I'm going to go do this thing. It might not even work. I love you. Goodbye. Right. There's an operator saying goodbye. I'm going to go try and heal myself. You come back. I walked off the plane. I go through the Northwest Florida airport, and my wife's standing there with one of my stepdaughters with a sign. Ugh. And I lose it. And they're good tears, right? It's emotion. And it's emotion that I didn't have. It was gone. I would cry my eyes out to Band of Brothers. How long it took me to watch it, I'd be bawling my eyes out. But I couldn't cry when my son is on his 50th infusion fighting acute lymphoblastic leukemia, 2017 through 2020 and a half. It was 3.5 years of treatment. I was Team Sergeant Scott. Let's go, Scott. Let's go, son. Let's be motivated, man. We got to do it. We got to do what we got to do, because we're going to get better. I wish to God I could go back in time with Ibogaine leading my way and being a hell of a lot more sympathetic to his cancer fight. God bless him. He's cancer free. But that's an example I like to use, because I didn't have anything to reach back to empathy wise, because I didn't have any empathy. So I would relate with, okay, it's like Ranger School, buddy. We're just going to take it one day at a time. And, ridiculous analogies I was trying to correlate with him. He's forgiven me since, but it took a good year of me understanding that this is the new version of myself. I'm not going back to the old version of myself. I have agency now. I can make smart decisions within seconds. What used to take old operator a week or two to chew on him. Okay, yeah, I guess I shouldn't have done that. Now it's like, no, absolutely not. Just because of me. I just don't want to do that. I don't want to go do whatever it is that is self-destructing or marriage destructing or going to hurt the kids' feelings because I promised to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to blow it all off so I can go to the beach and drink all day with somebody that I haven't seen in 10 years, but I did a deployment with once. You smell the difference? Instead of being inside the reaction, I could actually see the reaction. I could see where it started and how it kept repeating. I could see the moments where I had been reinforcing the bad shit without even realizing that I was doing that. And as you're going through the Ibogaine experience, it is front and center. Everything that you need to be handed by the Ibogaine will be handed to you by the Ibogaine. And I'm saying this for emphasis, and I'm not gonna put all the operators in one basket, because I guarantee you there's plenty that didn't. But as an operator traveling all the time, doing this and doing that, men have needs. I'm just gonna say it, guys. You take care of your shit when you're stressed out or whatever. You go to your man room, your man cave, your bathroom, whatever, and you take care of yourself, right? And women do the same thing. You know what I'm talking about, right? Without saying it. That stopped. And I haven't heard anybody talk about this. So I'm bringing up some new knowledge. I have not looked at porn since I've been back. It's just something that registers into my brain as why. I don't need to. I have an amazing array of memories with my wife and pictures of her all over the house. So I don't need to look at shit that probably is forced into whatever the scenario is that you're watching. I mean, back in the day, it was like, okay, well, we're deployed all the time. This is normal, right? We're not in love with that, but I'm telling you, it's hard to put it into words. I hope this makes it into the show's editing, but that is huge. Drinking, done. Watching porn, done. Talking like a sailor, done. I used to cuss without even realizing I was cussing. I was so good at cussing. Now I catch myself cussing and I'm stopped. Oh gosh, sorry for that. I don't want to cuss anymore. And people are like, oh, it's okay, man. You're a ranger in a Green Beret. Are you kidding me? You can cuss all you want. I'm like, no. I'm trying to not cuss. You pick up better. You stick with making better decisions. And I'm not going to say that it's just been perfect ever since I got back, but you catch yourself before you go into the absolute depths of your shitty idea, right? You might talk about the shitty idea for a few minutes and then look at your wife or your kids for some thumbs up. And they're like, what? You really want to go do that? No, absolutely not. The old me would have, but not this guy, and they hold you accountable, but it's immediate. It's not days later where you're standing there apologizing for a bad decision. You stop making stupid decisions because you have agency. You have your empathy back. You have your Christ consciousness back. Everything I do that is good for humanity or good for my family or good for my kids, whatever, even good for myself, I get immediate feeling of uplifting because I'm connected to all of it now. Go back in time. I had childhood trauma that I was suppressing shit with. I had all my time in the military, growing up without a dad. My mom working 2 jobs her whole life. So I didn't have mom and dad there helping me learn. I mean, my mom still taught me plenty, don't get me wrong. But it's a different environment when you're not there as a boy with your dad to look up to learn how to be a boy, how to be a man. And I wrote about it in my book because I thought it was important to make sure people understood who I was becoming in the environment that I was given with my loving mother and my older sister at the time. And then why that led to me being a good ranger and why that led to me being a good Green Beret and what shaped me in the beginning, helped me make the right decision when a friend came over to say, hey, dude, without saying it, because I never would have done it if he had. Hey, dude, you're turning into a drunk. You're turning into those guys we used to make fun of. Sits around and talks about all the stupid shit he did like it's something no one's ever heard. I mean, the ability to look back and talk about what I was just a few years ago and who I am becoming and will continue to work toward. I haven't finished growing and integrating the newer version of myself, the improved, bringing back the original roots of my soul to the surface of today is my mission. And when I do it, I share the story with people that I think want to hear it. And if they don't, I'm like, well, just listen to it anyway. Something might trigger you to smile and go, wait, I can relate to that. Or my brother needs to hear this. Or I got a neighbor that never comes outside unless he hears a firework and he's got all of his guns and he's looking around like something's up. Maybe he needs to hear about it. Because I used to do the same thing. I used to wake up every night, 3 to 4 hours into sleep, grab my pistol, surreptitiously exit the house so no one would wake up, check all the dead space, look under the truck, walk out back, scan my light with the wood line. Okay, better to be safe than sorry. No, it's crazy, man. I didn't even hear something to trigger it. It was just in my mind and go do it. I used to do it all the time. I don't do it anymore. I sleep. So
incredible, Scotty, man. It's one of those things, it seems to me that you can't really put into words. We can try. It's kind of like jumping out of an airplane. You can tell somebody what it's like and the sound,
that's a good idea.
until you've taken that leap, you know nothing about what it's like. You can try and think and imagine, but I mean, I know for me, it's all different experiences, but like that first jump, nobody prepared me for like, the crazy, and then silence. Yeah. I was like, I got out, check canopy.
I'm supposed to count.
Yeah. And then like, just, you can't know until you do it. And I'm so glad that you're sharing your stories so people can know as much as possible. And I'm proud of you, man, for putting yourself out there, because I know, like you've talked about, we all have buddies that, oh, come on, and rah, rah, and they are the same and they're stuck. And it sucks to walk away sometimes because these are people we care about.
Yes.
But walking away, when I try and tell people that you need to set boundaries and you need to walk away, and that walking away may be the best thing for them, because then they're going to be like, whoa, wait a second. They changed their life, or they're doing something better now. They're not stuck. Maybe I can get unstuck too, because we used to do the same thing. So I think people that are afraid of their group and their circle changing, don't be afraid. It's not easy. I'm not going to say, and I'm sure it wasn't easy for you, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah. That I can't imagine delete, somebody that you served with or close with, and it's rough. Or just block, but wow. I want you to give me like a 30-second pitch for Ibogaine. I know you've been doing it the whole time, but I want to get right to the core for the audience so we can leave them with that last bam on what the experience is like and how it can be life-changing.
This is the 9th. I'm keeping track of them because I want to know how many podcasts it's going to take to see the suicide rate become nada. And over the course of the last 2 weeks, we probably followed a lot of the same Instagram channels, lesser known, and there's one other that will post our fallen brothers and sisters, respectfully after they've been laid to rest and so on. But the past couple of weeks, it's been picking up. And I feel like if the story can be shared enough, the healing from Ibogaine and 5-MeO-DMT has changed everybody's life that I've gotten the opportunity to speak with and convince with everything in me. What do I need to say for you to just go do it? Before you do the next self-infliction of harm on your own family and your own body, do this one thing. It takes a week. That's it. It's not even a week. It's 5 days. You fly to San Diego. You spend the night in a hotel. You get in a cab with the medical badge on the front window. You show your passport. You're in and out in seconds. It's not a scary or debilitating thing. You're there. You're at the border for 5 or 10 minutes. You go through because you got the medical access badge thing. And then 45-minute drive. It's beautiful. You follow the wall down about 40 minutes and you take a left and you go up into this beautiful outcropping cliff. It's got a couple federales with shotguns to ensure your safety, standing at the beloved gates of Galilee. And then you go through and you pull up to this beautiful house overlooking the Pacific Ocean in a quiet, lovely setting. And there's no caffeine. There's no Copenhagen. There's no cigarettes. There's no marijuana. There's no distractions. And everyone that works there is super chill and smart and caring and prepared to receive any and all of those of us who are suffering from a multitude of different things, whether it's trauma, PTSD, sexual trauma, or abuse in any form that you've changed you from the real version of yourself. Things that have damaged you, and you show up, you're received with welcoming smiles. It's not bells and whistles and fanfare and explosions and fireworks. It's, hey, we're ready to receive you. We can bring in your suffering, and we'll prepare you to leave here in 5 days with none. And that's exactly what happens. For me, the Ibogaine experience had a clear epicenter. Everything led to one moment where there was no distractions left, no identity, no roles, no way to avoid anything that I had been carrying my whole life. It wasn't chaotic. It was absolutely precise. It was surgical how it went into my memory bank and brought everything out that needed to be addressed. And it showed me, it was like I took a 3rd-degree turn and I saw everything that was flat grow an edge and some luster and some depth. And I was explained by Ibogaine. It was explained to me by the Ibogaine why this particular memory had to go this way, and that you almost come out of it feeling empathy for the person that was abusing you. As scary as that may sound, but it's real. There's no dramatic one thing. It's just an array of your life's stress and trauma that brings you relief by seeing it and being explained by a root. The bark of a root explains to you why this took place, and then boom, it's gone. Your memories are still there. I didn't have a lobotomy. I don't think my name's Ted and I run around on a bicycle. I know who I am and I know what I've been doing my entire life, and I no longer have regrets, survivor's guilt, pain. I mean, even some bodily pain has started to not resurface. My neck, all those discs that are jacked up from all the years. It also taught me not to hold on to those things, and I just let them go. Like, I thought the badge of honor was that I have all these shitty memories from battle, and I should just constantly think about those and tell my buddies while we're slamming beers. It makes no sense. It did back then because I was self-medicating and self-treating, but it's not. It just keeps you in the returning loop of bad feelings, bad suggestions, bad actions. So for years, I thought I was dealing with trauma the right way, and I wasn't. And I realized in that moment was that I was also holding on and replaying the trauma instead of, for some reason, I thought reliving it was helping me. I don't know how to explain it other than I thought, well, it's processing. I'm letting it process its way through me over and over again, like that's supposed to help. But it's not. And you feel like you're stuck in it eventually because it's not helping you. And you sort of give up. That's kind of how my healing was going. I was like, this is it. This is all I can do to get better, and this is the best I'm going to get. I'm so glad I was wrong. The epicenter of the experience was not chaos. It's clarity. I wasn't reliving my trauma. I didn't have to relive sexual trauma or a physical trauma or the horrors of war. It wasn't reliving of those things. It was being shown why those took place, and you feel like you get this feeling of completion. It's not your fault. You're not at fault. It's like your childhood comes back to the surface. And my wife used to say, like, the first year or two, that you're so giddy, like it's like you're just a little boy. And I don't know how to explain it. I'm sure there's somebody out there that has by now. When you lift all the trauma that has created the version of yourself that is currently here before you go and do your journey, whether it's with psilocybin or ketamine or ibogaine or MDMA, there's 6 or 7 modalities right now that are being looked into by other states and stuff. You can go to California right now, sorry to get off track, and do a ketamine treatment with your military ID. TRICARE pays for it. You jump in the car and you drive off to work with a better attitude. So these aren't freakish things to talk about because they're never going to be real. They are already happening. And case in point, your executive order. What an amazing day that was, to be honest with you. We went from advocating for access to the president of the United States ordering it to be presented within the next few months at key facilities where we can have the structure and the control measures in place to begin a stateside ibogaine study. And I think people are going to lose any fear whatsoever once they start seeing the case studies come to the surface that we've been running in America here real soon. And I'll end it with, if you've been on the edge with whether it's alcohol or a Colt 45 or a bottle of sleeping pills or a, a Harley Davidson that you can crank out to 150 miles an hour in the middle of the night and just soar into the ocean. Whatever if all hell breaks loose, I'm going to do this. Wouldn't it be nice to have a different oh shit plan? If the wife has a rough day, I'm not going to ask her for anything. I'm just going to follow her around in the periphery until she sits down somewhere. And then I'm going to sneak up nice and quiet with a flower, some tea, and a hand with some lotion. And I'm going to rub her feet for 20 minutes and not even look at her, just massage her feet. And hopefully that'll work. And then you massage her. This sounds crazy. Trust me. It works. Massage her feet for 20 minutes. Glance back at the beautiful lady. Hey, how's this foot rub doing for you? Oh my God, how did you know? Because we get so centered into our own pity and our own suck. We think no one can see it and no one knows anything. Imagine being freed from that thought. And instead of having those moments throughout your day or week where you know you're going to have to just deal with the suck in your own way, whether that's cracking open a beer at 1 p.m. or getting a foot massage from your recently healed up husband who just likes to give back. And instead of fighting and, well, you could have a bad day, I'm going to the beach to drink with my homies. That used to be me. Mm-hmm. Instead of that, I think I massage her feet, because after supper and we put them kids to bed, we're going to sit out in the backyard and stare at the stars and get real grounded and maybe have a makeout session. That's the kind of thoughts I have now, instead of
adult fun
jump
time
on the Harley and run into the woods. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, Scott, thank you again for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. And I really appreciate you, man. And like, not a lot of people are willing to put it out there, but you are. So you're definitely a good leader. You're a team guy through and through, because as we know, there's guys on a team and then there's team guys. And you're a team guy because you're putting this out there to help others. Keep it up. Proud of you. Thank you again for being on the show. And listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the show, leave a review, and connect with us on social media. You can find links in all of our descriptions in the channels. And of course, more than anything, remember, own your power.